Welcome. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of language processing theories. Language processing is all about how our brains understand, produce, and interpret language. Over the years, researchers have developed various theories to explain how we manage to turn sounds and symbols into meaningful communication. In this video, we'll explore the major theories, their key concepts, and how they help us understand the complexity of human language. Whether you're a linguistics enthusiast or just curious about how we make sense of words, this journey will shed light on the intricate processes behind everyday conversation. Let's get started by looking at why language processing is such a central topic in cognitive science. Understanding language processing is crucial because language is at the heart of human interaction. From casual chats to academic discussions, language shapes our thoughts and relationships. By studying how we process language, scientists can uncover the mental steps involved in listening, reading, speaking, and writing. This knowledge not only advances linguistics but also informs fields like artificial intelligence, education, and speech therapy. As we move forward, keep in mind that each theory we discuss offers a unique perspective on how our minds handle the complexities of language. Let's begin with one of the earliest theories, behaviorism. In the early 20th century, behaviorists like B.F. Skinner argued that language learning and processing are based on habit formation. According to this view, we learn language through imitation, reinforcement, and repetition. The mind is seen as a black box. What matters is the observable behavior, not the internal mental processes. While behaviorism played a significant role in shaping early research, it couldn't fully explain the creativity and flexibility of human language use. This limitation paved the way for new theories that looked inside the mind. The mid-20th century, the cognitive revolution shifted focus from observable behavior to mental processes. Researchers began to ask, what's happening inside our minds when we process language? This new approach emphasized the importance of mental representations, memory, and attention. Cognitive scientists argued that language processing involves complex mental computations, not just stimulus and response. This shift opened up new avenues for exploring how we understand, produce, and remember language, leading to the development of influential models and theories. Noam Chomsky revolutionized linguistics with his theory of universal grammar. Chomsky argued that humans are born with an innate ability to acquire language. According to this theory, all languages share a common underlying structure, and children naturally pick up language rules without explicit instruction. Universal grammar suggests that language processing is guided by built-in mental structures, making it possible for us to learn any language we're exposed to as children. This idea challenged behaviorist views and sparked decades of research into the nature of language and the mind. Information processing model compares the human mind to a computer. According to this theory, language processing involves a series of steps: input, storage, retrieval, and output. When we hear or read words, our brains encode the information, store it in memory, and retrieve it when needed. This model emphasizes the role of working memory and attention in understanding and producing language. It also helps explain why we sometimes make mistakes or forget words. Our mental hardware has limits just like a computer. Connectionist models, also known as neural network models, suggest that language processing emerges from patterns of connections among simple units, much like neurons in the brain. Instead of following fixed rules, these models learn language through exposure and experience. Over time, the network strengthens connections that lead to correct responses. Connectionist models are especially good at explaining how we handle irregularities and exceptions in language, such as irregular verb. They also form the basis for many modern artificial intelligence systems. Modularity hypothesis proposes that the mind is made up of specialized modules, each responsible for different cognitive functions. In language processing, this means there could be a specific language module in the brain. This idea helps explain why some people can lose language abilities due to brain injury while other cognitive skills remain intact. Modularity suggests that language is processed separately from other mental functions, making it a unique and specialized system within the mind. Interactive models argue that language processing is not a one-way street. Instead, different levels of processing, such as sounds, words, and meanings, interact with each other. For example, our understanding of a sentence can influence how we hear individual words and vice versa. These models highlight the dynamic and flexible nature of language processing, showing that context and prior knowledge play a big role in how we interpret language in real time. Key debate in language processing is whether we handle information one step at a time, serial processing, or process multiple pieces simultaneously, parallel processing. Serial models suggest we process language in a strict order, while parallel models argue that different aspects like grammar and meaning are processed at the same time. Evidence from experiments suggests that both types of processing may occur, depending on the task and context. This debate continues to shape research in psycholinguistics. Working memory is essential for language processing. It allows us to hold and manipulate information as we listen, speak, read, or write. For example, when understanding a long sentence, we need to keep earlier words in mind until we reach the end. Differences in working memory capacity can affect language comprehension and production, especially in complex or fast-paced conversations. Researchers study working memory to better understand individual differences in language skills. Language processing involves both top-down and bottom-up strategies. Bottom-up processing starts with the smallest units, sounds or letters, and builds up to words and sentences. Top-down processing, on the other hand, uses context, prior knowledge, and expectations to interpret language. In real life, we constantly switch between these strategies, using both the details and the bigger picture to make sense of what we hear or read. Garden Path Model explains why we sometimes misinterpret sentences at first. According to this theory, our brains prefer the simplest grammatical structure when processing a sentence. If the sentence turns out to be more complex, we have to backtrack and reinterpret it. This model helps explain why certain sentences feel confusing or misleading, and why we occasionally stumble when reading or listening to complex language. Constraint-based models propose that language processing is guided by multiple sources of information at once: syntax, semantics, context, and even world knowledge. Rather than following a single rule, our brains weigh all available cues to arrive at the most likely interpretation. This approach accounts for the flexibility and adaptability of human language understanding, especially in ambiguous situations. Semantics or meaning plays a crucial role in language processing. Our brains constantly match words and sentences to their meanings, drawing on our knowledge of the world. Semantic processing helps us resolve ambiguities and understand figurative language, jokes, and metaphors. Without a strong grasp of semantics, communication would be full of misunderstandings and confusion. Syntax refers to the rules that govern sentence structure. During language processing, our brains rapidly analyze the order and relationship of words to determine meaning. Syntax helps us distinguish between different interpretations and ensures that our sentences make sense. Errors in syntax can lead to confusion or miscommunication, highlighting its importance in everyday language use. Pragmatics is about how language is used in context. It involves understanding implied meanings, social cues, and conversational rules. Pragmatic processing allows us to interpret sarcasm, politeness, and indirect requests. Without pragmatics, we'd struggle to navigate social interactions and understand the true intent behind words. Speech perception is the process of recognizing and interpreting spoken language. Theories in this area explore how we identify sounds, distinguish words, and understand speech in noisy environments. Some models focus on the acoustic features of speech, while others emphasize the role of context and expectations. Speech perception is a complex, multi-layered process that relies on both sensory input and higher-level knowledge. Lexical access refers to how we retrieve words from our mental dictionary. Models in this area examine how quickly and accurately we can find the right word when speaking or listening. Factors like frequency, context, and similarity to other words all influence lexical access. Understanding this process helps explain phenomena like the tip of the tongue experience and word-finding difficulties. Sentence processing models explore how we understand and produce sentences in real time. These models look at how we combine words, resolve ambiguities, and build meaning as we go. Some theories emphasize the role of syntax, while others focus on semantics or context. Sentence processing is a dynamic, ongoing process that requires coordination between multiple mental systems. Discourse processing goes beyond individual sentences to look at how we understand larger stretches of language, like conversations, stories, and articles. This area examines how we connect ideas, track references, and maintain coherence across multiple sentences. Discourse processing is essential for effective communication and comprehension in everyday life. Bilingual language processing explores how people who speak more than one language manage and switch between languages. Research shows that bilinguals often activate both languages simultaneously, which can lead to cross-language influences and code switching. Understanding bilingual processing sheds light on the flexibility and adaptability of the human mind, as well as the cognitive benefits of knowing multiple languages. Language production models focus on how we plan and produce speech or writing. These models examine the steps involved in choosing words, organizing sentences, and articulating sounds. Production is a complex process that requires coordination between mental planning and physical execution. Errors like slips of the tongue provide clues about how production works behind the scenes. Comprehension models explore how we make sense of spoken or written language. These models look at how we integrate new information, resolve ambiguities, and build mental representations of meaning. Comprehension is an active process that draws on memory, attention, and prior knowledge to interpret language accurately and efficiently. Attention is a key factor in language processing. It helps us focus on relevant information, filter out distractions, and switch between tasks. Attention can influence how quickly and accurately we process language, especially in noisy or complex environments. Understanding the role of attention helps explain why we sometimes miss details or misunderstand messages. Prediction is another important aspect of language processing. Our brains constantly anticipate what comes next in a sentence or conversation. This ability speeds up comprehension and helps us deal with unexpected information. Predictive processing relies on experience, context, and knowledge of language patterns, making communication more efficient and fluid. Context is vital for interpreting language accurately. It includes everything from the physical setting to the speaker's intentions and shared knowledge. Context helps us resolve ambiguities, understand jokes, and interpret indirect language. Without context, even simple sentences can become confusing or misleading. Our past experiences shape how we process language. Familiarity with certain words, phrases, or topics can speed up comprehension and make communication smoother. Experience also helps us adapt to new accents, dialects, or styles of speech. This adaptability is a hallmark of human language processing and highlights the importance of lifelong learning. Emotion influences how we process and interpret language. Emotional tone, facial expressions, and body language all add layers of meaning to words. Emotion can enhance memory for certain messages or bias our interpretation of ambiguous language. Understanding the role of emotion helps explain why some conversations are more memorable or impactful than others. Developmental theories examine how language processing changes as we grow. Children learn language rapidly, moving from simple words to complex sentences in just a few years. Researchers study how children acquire vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, as well as how these skills develop over time. Developmental perspectives also explore how language processing differs in adults and older individuals. Neurolinguistics investigates the brain mechanisms underlying language processing. Using techniques like brain imaging and lesion studies, researchers identify which brain areas are involved in different language tasks. Neurolinguistic approaches help explain language disorders, recovery after brain injury, and the neural basis of bilingualism. This field bridges linguistics, psychology, and neuroscience. Psycholinguistics focuses on the mental processes involved in language use. This field combines insights from psychology and linguistics to study how we perceive, produce, and understand language. Psycholinguistic research uses experiments, reaction times, and error analysis to uncover the steps involved in language processing. It provides a window into the cognitive machinery behind communication. Computational models use computer simulations to mimic human language processing. These models test theories by programming computers to perform language tasks, such as recognizing speech or generating sentences. Computational approaches are valuable for testing hypotheses, developing language technologies, and understanding the limits of current theories. Artificial intelligence, AI, has transformed the study of language processing. AI systems use algorithms inspired by human cognition to understand and generate language. From virtual assistants to translation tools, AI applications rely on theories of language processing to function effectively. Studying AI also helps researchers refine their understanding of human language abilities. Language disorders, such as aphasia or dyslexia, provide important insights into language processing. By studying individuals with language impairments, researchers can identify which brain areas and processes are crucial for normal language use. This research informs diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation strategies for people with language difficulties. Memory plays a central role in language processing. We rely on different types of memory, short-term, long-term, and procedural, to understand and produce language. Memory helps us remember vocabulary, grammar rules, and previous conversations. Problems with memory can lead to language difficulties, highlighting the close connection between these cognitive systems. Attention and language are closely linked. We need to focus on relevant information, ignore distractions, and shift attention as conversations unfold. Attention helps us follow complex discussions, pick up on subtle cues, and respond appropriately. Research on attention and language processing reveals how these systems work together to support effective communication. Perception is the gateway to language processing. We use our senses to detect sounds, letters, and gestures, which are then interpreted as language. Perceptual processes help us distinguish between similar words, recognize accents, and understand speech in noisy settings. Perception and language are deeply intertwined, making communication possible in diverse environments. Language processing doesn't happen in isolation. Social interaction shapes how we use and interpret language. Conversations, group discussions, and cultural norms all influence language processing. Social factors can affect everything from word choice to the speed of comprehension, highlighting the importance of context and community in language use. Culture plays a significant role in language processing. Different cultures have unique ways of using language, from greetings to storytelling. Cultural background influences how we interpret meaning, use metaphors, and follow conversational rules. Understanding the link between language and culture helps explain the diversity and richness of human communication. Technology has transformed how we process and use language. From texting to video calls, digital tools change the way we communicate. Technology also enables new research methods such as eye tracking and brain imaging to study language processing in real time. The interaction between language and technology continues to evolve, opening up exciting possibilities for the future. Learning is at the core of language processing. Whether acquiring a first language or learning a new one, our brains adapt and reorganize to handle new linguistic information. Research on language learning explores how we pick up vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, as well as the best methods for teaching and practice. Creativity is a hallmark of human language. We invent new words, play with meanings, and create poetry and jokes. Theories of language processing seek to explain how we generate novel expressions and understand creative uses of language. Creativity highlights the flexibility and richness of our linguistic abilities. Theories about the evolution of language processing explore how our abilities developed over time. Researchers study the origins of language, comparing humans with other species and examining the genetic and social factors involved. Evolutionary perspectives help explain why language is such a powerful and unique tool for communication. We've covered a wide range of theories and models that explain how we process language. From behaviorism to connectionism and from cognitive models to AI, each approach offers valuable insights into the workings of the human mind. As technology advances and research methods improve, our understanding of language processing will continue to grow. The study of language remains one of the most exciting frontiers in cognitive science, promising new discoveries about ourselves and the world around us.